want is like this is the file seen under untracked files. But here what we want is maybe this file too is not a program file. I don't want to put this into local repository. It may be some dummy file, or it may be simple document, or it could be some notes I have taken for my project, or else some email copy, some document, some personal document, let's say, which I don't want to place it in local repository. But the document related to project, a kind of notes or something. So yes, I'm having the file here, but I don't want Git to show this message. I don't want Git to track this file. Can we do that? Is it possible? Means even though file is present in this Git local repository, Git demo folder is nothing but our local repository. Git demo folder is nothing but our working directory, isn't it? So any file present there will be keep on tracked by Git. But I don't want Git to track certain files. So how is that possible? Can we achieve it? Understood what I'm saying? Whatever in this local repository are there, all those files will be tracked by Git. Okay, but I don't want Git to track this file too, even though it's present there. The reasons could be like it may be a log file, or maybe a document, an email copy, which I don't want to version control. And Navina says keep that file in staging area. But still it will be tracked, right? If you are placing it in the staging area, means refer this diagram. Whatever files kept in the staging area means they are being tracked. Then it will ask us to commit. It will keep on prompting us to commit. It will keep on saying us to commit, isn't it? You cannot, whenever you run a commit command, whatever in the staging area will be committed. But I don't want it all. I don't want to Git to bother about this file. Git should not be bothered about this file. So what should do? Means the whole point is I don't want Git to track this file. If you don't want Git to exclude certain files from tracking, here you can create a file called .gitignore. .gitignore. Give me 1 minute, please. You can also run with any user, but I have started working as a root user, so let me continue with the same. So let me create some file called .gitignore. Okay. Now, so what is this .gitignore? Git understands this file. Whichever files you don't want to get tracked by Git, put the file name. So which file we don't want to get tracked by Git? File2.txt is the file I don't want Git to track it. Correct? So create a file, open the file in an editor like Vim editor, and whichever files you don't want to track, put those file names here. You may put all the file names here, or else let's say I have so many files with the extension log. .log files should be ignored. So star.log means star means anything. Use some while character so that any file with the extension .log will be ignored by Git. Right? Understood everyone? So that's how you can exclude certain files from being tracked by Git, because at times in real practice you may be having other files in your project. So that's how you can control them. Let me save this. Save the file, escape :wq exclamatory will save the file. Okay, now if you check the status of your repository, can you see the magic? Index 2, file 2 is not tracked anymore. Do you notice the difference, everyone? File 2 is not getting tracked anymore. But yes, .gitignore is being tracked. After all, it's again another file, isn't it? So what you can do? Git add .gitignore, like add this file like any other file. It is also a file. Then commit the file. Git commit -m added ignore file. Okay, so yeah, we have made the changes. Now if you do the status, can you see? it's all clean, like whatever changes you have further. It was no more bothered about index 2. Index 2 is there in the working directory, but it's all not asking you to add and commit anymore. Also, if you see the hidden files, .git ignore will be shown under hidden files. So that's why file 2 is not tracked anymore. So understood the concept of excluding certain files from tracking. This is how you can exclude certain files from tracking. If you have any files and if you don't want them to get tracked, this is how you can. Am I clear with this? Got it, all of you? So this is another concept with git ignore. Are you all following? Manirattan, Teja, everyone, whoever is new to Linux, could you all follow the concept?
Madam, I'm
See,
following the
Linux
concept, but
commands
I'm
do some practice, okay? Like you have to do the hands-on so that you can follow it perfectly. Okay, so now that we have seen git ignore, let's see another concept. See, if you are keeping quiet, I will understand that you are all following. Okay, so I'm proceeding to next step. If you want me to repeat anything or if you are having any confusion at any point, please speak out. You can feel free to respond and talk to me. So that's how git ignore works. Let's take up another interesting part. I have done a bunch of commits, right? Sure, Teja, you can message me, okay? Either yes or no. You can message me. You can message me either yes or no if you're following. That will do. It's fine. Just asking for your benefit so that if you're following or not, if I know, I can help you better. Fine. If you can say just yes or no, that will do, Teja. That's perfectly fine. You can message me if you cannot speak out. Okay, so yeah, we have done a bunch of commits, right? Let's check the log of it. Git check log one line. Yeah. Can you see here a bunch of commits? We have done a bunch of commits by now, right? Like we have committed some files. Like so, this is the log history I'm having. Now, what I'll do is, let's suppose, okay, I'm having some commit. This commit is there. In this, I have added ignore file. See, always give some commit message, a meaningful one. Because later on, if you refer the commit history, you should understand what this commit is doing. You should get a clue. So, comment is like a message so that you can understand what that particular commit is doing. Okay, so git log one line will help you see the complete commit history. Okay, now let's say I want to undo a particular commit. What is meant by undoing? What is meant by undo? Yeah, anyone, what is meant by undoing? Like, what is the dictionary meaning of it? Undo means, yeah, reversing the things, isn't it? Let's suppose, let's take a simple example. Suppose I want to, one second, give me a second. Yeah. See, undo means suppose I have created a file. Yeah, undoing means the I'm sorry, mic got muted. It's okay. So revert means like if you want to undo any particular commit means reverse happens, isn't it? Let's suppose you have created a file. Undo means opposite. The file will be deleted, isn't it? And also let's say if you have deleted a file, yeah, when you reverse it, the file will be back. Means whatever change happened there will be reversed. That is the meaning of undo. Similarly, here also you have bunch of commits. If you want to undo any particular commit, let's say I want to undo this commit, means whatever changes happen in that particular commit can be reversed, can be undo, right? That's called as revert. So let me do the revert. What I'll do is git revert this particular any commit ID you can use. I am using git revert. So what happens? Whatever happened in this commit will be reversed. will be undo, right? Means let's say in this particular commit, I have created a file. Oh yeah, because you reverted, the file will be deleted. Or else let's say in this commit is about deleting a file. After deleting, we'll create a commit ID, right? So maybe this is about deleting. So when you undo, the file will be created back, right? So this is the concept of reverting, undoing the changes. So now in this commit, what happened? We have actually added a ignore file, isn't it? So that index 2 is not tracking anymore. But now I am going to revert it. What will happen when you revert it? Yes.
It will come to the staging area.
See, in this commit, I have added ignore file. When I undo, ignore file will be gone. Ignore file will be gone means file2.txt will be tracked. Isn't that? Am I correct? So this is what is undo or revert does. And another interesting point is whenever you revert works like a commit ID. Means revert works like a commit. Whenever you revert, another new commit ID will be generated. See, whenever you do a commit, a particular commit ID will be generated, right? Same is the case here. If you do a revert, it will generate a new commit ID. You can call it as a revert ID or whatever. Again, you can revert the revert. Let me show you what I'm speaking. See, I'm reverting this. See, revert works like a commit. It's prompting for some commit message. So let me provide some message here like ignore file added. Yeah. So let's save this. Yeah, done. So now if you check the log, let me show you. See, your revert will always create a commit ID, right? Revert works like a commit. Whenever you run a commit command, commit ID will be generated. Same is the case with the revert. Whenever you do revert, new commit ID will be generated. And let's see what happened to the repository. See, file2 is tracked again. Why? Why? Because ignore file is gone. You have reverted it. Check the hidden files. Hidden files is seen with ll minus al command. Ll minus al means long list. It will list all the files including hidden files. See, there is no more dot get ignore because dot get ignore is not there. File2 is not. File2 is getting tracked again. Interesting, isn't it? So that's how revert works. And then yeah, yes, so it has generated. See, you can revert this ID again. It's nothing but commit ID or revert ID, whatever. You can revert this again. Let me revert this again. See, it will prompt for a message. Let me put a message like reverting again. Okay, let me put some message like this. Yeah. WQ exclamation. Done. Now if you check the log, see, it has generated another commit ID. And if you the git status, see, it's no more tracking because your ignore file is back. Clear with the concept of revert, everyone? Yeah, this is how you can do revert. See, these are all the things which help you to manage your files when you're working as a team, right? So we have seen reverting, we have seen ignore file. Let's look into another interesting concept like reset. Reset is a far more advanced concept in Git. What is this reset? See, whenever you are checking the log, let's go to the log. You are seeing a bunch of commits here, isn't it? You are seeing some bunch of commits. See, let's suppose, okay, I'm working on this repository from 1 week or else 2 weeks or 6 months. Later on, I realized that I don't want these bunch of commits. I don't want them. Maybe requirements change or else I realize my code is not working here. Okay, I just want to get rid of those changes. Means a successive 3 commits. Topmost 3 commits I don't want, or else topmost 4 commits or topmost 5 commits. Means the successive topmost commits if you want to get rid of. That's where reset command comes in. Git reset hard the commit ID. And whenever you do reset, what happens? See, here there is something called head pointer in Git. Head is a pointer in Git which will be always pointing the topmost commit in the branch. I'm repeating again, head is a pointer in Git which will point to the topmost commit, means latest commit in the current branch. And now if you reset, what happens? You can get rid of successive commits. Means these commits will be wiped off, erased from the log history, as well as whatever changes happened in those commits will also be gone. I'm repeating again, whatever changes happened in those commits, those will be gone, as well as they'll be wiped off from the log history. That is what is reset command does. Means if they are removed, your head pointer will be pointing to this commit, isn't it? Means your head pointer will be changing when you do reset. Reset is a very powerful command and it's called as a destructive command because changes gone are gone forever, right? So if I say like this should be my topmost commit. Okay, yeah, all the above 3 are gone. As well as the changes happened in those commits will also be gone. That is what is git reset hard. Let me put here git reset hard this particular commit ID. Yeah. Can I run the command? This is far advanced concept. And one more thing, please remember one more thing, always refer to the architectural diagram. I have shared the architectural diagram in the drive. So you can just keep the diagram beside you, like you can keep it in the another browser and check it out. See, we are still on this local repositories. We are still on this green box. We didn't go to remote it. We are working here. Like this is safe, right? So we are working here. We didn't go to remote it. So the thumb rule here is you reset the local branches or local changes. Don't reset the changes you have shared with others because your commit history might be different from the others. So better you reset your local changes. So shall we reset this, or else I would like to reset this. This should be the topmost commit. I want to get rid of everything else above that. Is the command clear or should I re-explain? Yeah, revert is for undoing commits in the, undoing the changes in that particular commit. Whereas reset is whatever commit ID you put here, that becomes a topmost. Means whatever happened above that, all of them will be wiped off from the log history. Changes happened in those commits will be gone, as well as they'll be wiped off from the log history. So let me run the command. The head is now your head pointer mode. If you notice, see only those 2 commits. Commit IDs were gone from the log history, as well as the changes in those commits were also, which is reset hard. Okay. So we have seen git reset, git revert, and there comes another interesting and advanced concept in Git called branching. So let's talk about the concept called branching now. My marker is not writing today. I'm using this notepad. So what is this concept of branch? See, branching is a very powerful concept in Git. It's very widely used because of this robust feature, right? Branching in Git is a very robust and strong feature which will help developers to plan or design their projects more effectively. Until now, you might have noticed whenever you do Git status, you'll be seeing something like on branch master, isn't it? So what is this branch on branch master? What does it mean? Isn't it? What is this branch master? Let me tell you. See, whenever you create a local repository, until now we are working, we have created so many files. All of them are set to be on master branch. Means master branch is the default branch or the main branch in it. All the changes happen on this master branch. Like by default, till now I have created index 1, index 2, whatever. Everything are set to be on this master branch. Okay, you can imagine branch is like a folder. Imagine it's like a virtual folder in your repository. We have created a local repository, Git local repository. Right? In that you have this master branch. Okay, so yeah, whatever changes I have done till now on this branch. Imagine, like I said, it's like a folder. So whatever you made changes like index 1, index 2, all of them goes into this branch. Okay, let's suppose here in this master branch I'm working for functional requirement 1. Okay, for some functionality I'm working here. Okay, perfect. I'm making some changes. It's doing good. Later on, I realized, or else let's suppose, okay, let me take this use case. Client came with another functional requirement too. Okay, so client want to put some other changes here. Like they want to make some other changes for another requirement. So again, the files are same. I need to modify the same file, index 1, index or file 1, file 2, and so on. So if I keep on working in the same directory for both functionalities, and let's say this functionality should be released for August, this should be released for December. Is it possible? Will that be possible if I'm working on the same folder? Yeah. After some time, you cannot identify the changes, which changes are for requirement 1, which changes are for requirement. Also, I cannot do this separate releases, isn't it? If all of them is it's in the same folder, I cannot push them separately to remote, isn't it? So how to keep the changes separate? How to keep the changes segregated? That's where the concept of branching comes in. So what I'll do, rather than placing all the changes in the same branch, I'll put functional requirement changes here. I'll create a copy of this master branch, which is again copy of whatever changes I have. But for functional requirement, do I work on it? Means it's a copy till the point I made a branch. After making a branch, they work like two parallel entities. Development can happen parallelly. I can keep on, means some developers can be keep on working here for functional requirement 1. Some others can be working on another branch for some other requirement. Means it allows parallel development. Branching helps you to achieve parallel development. It helps you achieve branching. Sorry, it helps you achieve maintaining different versions or maintaining different releases. Also, let's suppose you have some bug fixes. Okay, you have to immediately fix them and push it to remote. Again, you can take a separate branch where you do all the bug fixes and push the code. Right? So that's where this concept of branching comes in. Got the concept of branching? As of now, we have one branch, which is a default branch. From this master branch, we can create a separate branch, then work parallel. See, they are same only at the point till you make a branch. Later on, from there, they work like two parallel entities. Whatever you make changes in one branch will not be visible to the other. Like imagine you are having a folder. Without messing up the original folder, you can work on a copy. Am I correct? What I mean is, see here, let's suppose, yeah, see here I'm having a folder called books. Yeah, let's say this is some story books. I'm writing some story here, and I want to put a ending. I want to give a climax to the story. Maybe I have got two climaxes. Rather than messing up the original one, what I'll do, I'll just create a copy of it. So in this copy means they are same only till I make a copy, isn't it? Here I can give a different climax to the story, here another climax. Yeah, maybe I may provide or publish them as two versions if both are doing good. Or else, let's say if original one is not good, I may use it like a draft, develop here. If it is good, I may just move them back to the original. Right? Only one story. Or else if this is also doing good, I may maintain two versions of the same story. Correct? So that's the concept of branch. Same thing. Branches could be for permanent purpose or for temporary purpose. Means I can just use it like a draft. Once work is done here, I can move it to the original one. Without messing up the original one, I can do this. Or else maybe I have two different stories. I may maintain two separate copies. They are same only till I make a copy. After that, whatever changes I make here will not be visible to the original one and vice versa. Got it, all of you? So that's a concept of branching. Shall we create a branch now? See, we have only one master branch. Got the concepts theoretically, all of you, everyone, whoever possible, like whoever can respond, please let me know. Okay, so now that we have a branch, if you check here, git branch, yeah, see, I'm having only one branch, right? It's a master, only one. So let's create a branch. How do you create a branch? Git branch. Okay, the child branch or else the new branch name is B1. Like you can give any name, okay? I'm giving B1. Maybe like you can put something like release for September or else bug fix release, right? Like bug fixes, enhancements. You can put some name to your branches. And I want to create this B1 from master, a copy of master. So B1 will have all the files, all the changes of master. So let's run the command. Branch is created. To check the branch, the command is git branch. See, one more thing I would like to tell you here. Git works on all operating systems. It works in Windows, it works on Mac. Okay, Git has also got GUI. UI Git has. So you don't need to write the commands. You can click the UI like user interface and work on it. But if you learn the UI, you will never learn the commands. You will never know what is happening at the back end. You will never know the concepts. So my suggestion is please first learn the CLI for any tool. That's the best method. If you want, you can install Git in Windows. You can also use Git Bash rather than using Git UI. But because coming up tools needs Linux environment, better you start in Linux from the beginning. Okay, to see the list, git branch. Can you see the branches? Earlier only master, but now B1. And there is a star symbol, asterisk. Asterisk indicates on which branch it is on. It is on master branch. Means we are on master branch. If you want to confirm on which branch you are on, check the status on. You can check the files, you can check the status, log, everything will be applicable on master. ls means ls on master. Everything is on master. Let me also show you the log. Log will be of master, but if you want to still make sure, you can add master. Right? See, log of master. Yeah. Now what you can do? Let's go to B1. Shall we go to B1 branch? We are on master branch only. Let's go to B1. How do you switch the branch? To switch the branch, the command is git checkout. Git checkout B1. That's how you switch the branch. See, switch to branch B1. To make sure, git status. Can you see the difference? Also, git branch star will be on B1. Can you see asterisk symbol is on B1? So status message will tell you on which branch you are on. Get state branch message will tell you on which branch you are on. You are on B1. Perfect. So now ls means ls on B1. Yes, you got the files copied. Let us also check the log of B1. Git log. Yeah, they are on B1. Right? So now all the commit history was copied, files were copied. See, if you want to make sure you're checking log of B1, you can also put B1. All right. So now let us create another file. Shall we create some file on B1 now? Yeah, like parallel development should happen, right? So let us develop some changes here. Let me create a file here. Let's say file3.txt. Okay. Let me put something like a new file created on B1. Some dummy line I'm adding. Let's save this. Okay, and let's check this. So file 3 is there, right? So now let's check the status. Right, the same old story, like it's an untracked file, you should add and commit. Means this works with every directory, right? It's like a virtual directory. You can imagine branches like a virtual directory. So let me add the file to this. Git add file 3. Now check the status. We have already learned this yesterday, right? We have spent a lot of time here in understanding staging area, working directory, and so on. Now, yeah, changes to be committed. So what do you have to do? Git commit -m. I would like to give the commit message like on B1 branch. Yeah, done. Now if you check, see third file, if you see the status, right? Perfect. Everything is clean. Right, so a third commit is added. If you check the log of B1, third commit. So we have got the third file and third commit on B1. Now I have a question for you. Is this third file available? Like third file here is, what is the file? File 3. Is this file 3 available on master branch? Is this third commit available on master branch? Will they be available on master branch at this point? Yes, Manirathan, Rakesh.
So that file 3, I think it will be in B1 branch.
Will it
Master
be
branch.
present on master branch?
It won't be there in master branch. It will be B1
Yes.
branch itself.
Obviously, it will not be there, isn't it? Your changes are confined to that particular branch. Let's go to master and check it out. How do you switch the branch? Git checkout. How do you switch? Git checkout the branch name. So now I am on master. If you do ls, yes, obviously you don't have it. You don't have the third file. You don't have the third commit on master. Right? Do you see that? Yeah, git log B1 3 commits. Right? Means it works like a parallel environment. It allows you parallel development. Parallelly, you can work on master branch, you can work on B1, you can maintain it like a version. This is how it works. Right? So perfect. You are working parallelly on both the branches, so you don't see any changes here. So now let's say the use case here is I'm using B1 like a draft. Means okay, work is done there. I want to integrate those changes from B1 to master. How to integrate changes from one branch to another now? How to get the changes from one branch to another? Means I want to use B1 like a draft. Now I want to get the changes from B1 to master. Integrate changes from B1 to master. How to integrate these changes? So that's where merge concept comes in. Exactly. That's where merge comes in, to integrate changes from one branch to another. And the syntax is git merge the source branch and the destination branch. What is the source branch here? What is a source branch? Means branch from where we want to bring the changes. So
B1.
the source here is D1. The destination is master. So get merge B1 and master. See, updating the file, fast forward, merge happens. See, now you got the third file into the master. You got the third file as well as you got the third. Understood? Yeah. So that's the concept of branching and merging, which is really helpful in the real world to manage your projects effectively, to maintain the versions, or else if you want to assign a particular branch to a separate team or a developer, like a separate developer, that's how. Yeah. And there is again another interesting concept when you merge. When you merge, there could be some conflict may arise. We shall take up as an. Shall we move on? Following everyone? So, okay. Now, yeah, let us take up another interesting part. On which branch we are on now? We are on which branch now? You don't need to worry if you just want to know on which branch, check the status or else git branch. So we are on master, we have 3 files. I'm creating another file here called file4.txt. We already know now after creating file what we should do, how to place it in local repository. We are well versed with it, correct? By now you should be well versed with that, with the hands-on. I don't know how many of you are doing hands-on, but regular hands-on, day-to-day hands-on is a must. So let me write a line, new file created on master. Okay, let me save it. So what next? What will be the output of status message? At this point, what will be the status message showing us? We have done this couple of times by now. Multiple times we have then learned this concept. So can you tell me what could be the output of status message? Exactly, Avinash. Correct, Rakesh. Yeah. Can I also have response from others? Maniratan, all of you. So it would be like untracked file, isn't it? See, untracked. Git could not track the file. Git knows there is a file, but Git could not track it. What should we do? Add the file. Now what will be the status message showing us? What will be the output of status message now? Changes to be committed. Right? It says changes to be committed. You have to commit the changes. Okay, let me do that. Git commit -m on master. Okay, so done. If you do ls, right, you have all the files. Now if you check the status, it's clear. And if you check the log of master, you have the fourth commit, fourth file or available, correct? You are having the fourth file here and the fourth file available. Is this fourth file, commit available on B1 branch? Are they available in B1 branch? Definitely no. Yeah, because it's a parallel branch. We don't have them. Let's go to B1 anyway. How to switch the branch? Git checkout B1. Yeah, let's switch the branch. Yeah, let's go to B1. Here we don't have the branch as well as we don't have the new commit. Okay, perfectly all right. I'm not bothered about it. Okay, maybe there might be some code in other branch. We are not bothered about it. And here I'm going to create some code again. Here I'm going to create again file4.txt, a new file on B1. Okay. So what next? After creating file, what's the next step? Add the file and commit the file. Done. Now you also have 4 files here, and if you check the log, git log, I'm done. Done. Perfect. And if you check the log of, sorry, this is the log of master. Yeah. Can you see that? Till 3 comments they are same. After 3 comments, yeah, the 4th comment is different. Anyway, like you are working parallelly on both of the branches, isn't it? Now what I want is, okay, like B1, like I said, it may be for a draft purpose. It is maybe for a temporary purpose. As I'm done with my changes, I want to integrate those changes to master. How to do this integration? And what is that called as?
Git merge.
Okay. Avina says git merge B1 master, git merge source and destination. Yeah, you should go to the destination branch. First, let us go to the destination branch, git checkout master. Now here do git merge. The source is B1, destination is master. What happens now? Will it merge successfully? Can this merge successfully or will it merge successfully? What happens now? Anyone, what do you think will happen now? What happens now? There will be something called a merge conflict. There will be a merge conflict because see the content of the content of file 4 on B1 is different from that of the master. There will be a conflict. And what could be the reason for the conflict? Same file name in both branches is Avinash. Yeah, see it is correct to some extent, same file name, but there are many things beyond that. Means it is not simply the file name. Okay, there is also something else. We'll talk about what happens at the back end when you have a conflict or why you are having conflict. See, generally people think that whoever working in Git, who have got expertise on Git also, generally they think that you get a conflict because of the same file name. But it's a file name correct to some extent, but not it's just simply because of the file name, but there is something else behind that. What is happening at the back end we have to see. Okay, first let me run the command and show you what happens. Can you see that there is a conflict in file4.txt? There is a conflict in this file. Means Git doesn't know which one to keep. See, Git cannot ignore or Git cannot override. Isn't it? If Git is ignoring and Git is overriding the changes, there's no point of using it. Better you work manually, right? So Git will not ignore, Git will not override, rather it will inform you to take some steps because Git is after all a tool, it doesn't have any mind, right? As a developer, you should decide which changes should go into the file, right? So there's a conflict, auto merging file code failed, automatic merge failed because Git cannot decide. As a developer, you should decide and fix the conflict. So before fixing the conflict, we will understand why we got the conflict and we see the steps of resolution of the conflict. Okay. So before going to that part, we shall have a break here and come back because this explanation will take some time. We'll have a logical break here and we'll be back. Yeah, good to go. Or any more questions here for anyone? All right then. Okay, we'll have a quick break here and we'll come back and continue. Get relaxed. Hello everyone, are you all back? So let's continue. So yeah, we got a conflict here. What is the reason for the conflict? Generally, yeah, first thing is same file name. But what else? What else? What is happening actually? Let me explain you the scenario here. See, this is our master branch. This is a B1 branch, and I'm making changes parallelly. Like first step, what we did is on master, I have created file 4 and made some commit called commit A. See, I cannot write the alphanumeric ID, so I'm referring it as commit A. Then I went to, okay, first we did this. So is this commit A available on B1? Is this available on B1? Definitely no. So then the second step what we did is on B1 branch, I have created again file 4, made some commit called commit B. Right? So this commit B is also not available on this master branch. Correct? So it's not available on master. Yeah, perfect. So now the third step is we are trying to do a merge. Merge means you are bringing changes from B1 to master. Changes of B1 changes from B1 should come and sit in the master branch. Means if you check the here log of B4, you can check the log of each file. I'll show you in a minute. So if you check the log of log of file 4 on B1 branch, it's simply commit B. Right? If you check the commit history of file 4 on B1, it's simply commit B. If you check the commit history of master branch, it's simply commit A, isn't it? Means let me draw here. See, if you check the commit history of file 4 on B1, it's simply B, and here it's simply A. The meaning of merge is source branch changes should come and sit in the master branch changes, destination branch changes. Means this box should come and sit in here. If this box come and sits in here, it should override the existing one, isn't it? Or else it should ignore it. See, it cannot just keep this one here, or else it cannot ignore the changes of master, isn't it? It cannot just have this one and ignore B. At the same time, it cannot override this and keep it, isn't it? So Git has a question whether to keep this or keep this. It cannot both. If it is keeping this means it's ignoring B. If it is keeping B means it's overwriting A. So Git cannot do that and Git got a confusion and hence it throws a conflict. Right? It's just because of file name to some extent correct, but it's not merely because of the file name. Meaning, I mean to say here, if source branch, B1 branch is missing some comments which are there on destination, means on destination you have commit A, right? If source is having something like this, then you merge, no problem. Because A is already there, B will sit and come and sit in here. But if source is missing, here in our case, source is missing this A commit, which is there on destination already. So that's where you get a conflict. Got it, all of you? Understood the concept? The underlying concept is that clear, everyone? Yeah, means let's take a scenario. File 1 is already there for us, right? File 1 is already there on both the branches. Yeah, file 1 is having here commit here, that commit is also present here. Then now you make a new commit, then you merge, no problem. That's what happened earlier, file 3. So no problem there. But if source is missing some comments which are there on destination, that's where conflict comes in. Understood the reason for conflict? So just remember this. It's not just simply because of the file name. It could be because of the commits you have, right? So that is our difference. Now, yeah, we understood the reason for conflict. Now let's see resolution to this concept. How do you resolve it? How do we resolve it? In which file we got the conflict? On the file 4, we got the conflict. Open this file in an editor. Whichever file you got a conflict, open this in an editor. And if you see, you can notice here, it is showing contents from both the branches. Can you see that? Head indicates changes from the current branch. B1 indicates changes from the B1 branch. So Git could not decide because it's a tool. You have to decide consciously which changes to keep. As a developer, you have to decide which changes to keep. So you edit the file like how you want it to be. I don't want the header. So just remove the header. Yeah. I want only these 2 lines. So just keep only those lines. Remove all the unnecessary lines and the headers. So I have got 2 lines here. Now save the file like how you want it to be. Let's save the file. Okay, now you have saved the file. Let us do the status. Yeah, can you see? We just edited the file. After edition, what you should do means after modification to file, what you should do? It was saying like unmerged path. Git add. You should add to mark the resolution. So let us add the file and commit this. Or else because it's not a new file, you can add with a single command with a flag. Means add and commit. Let's say conflicts resolved. Some commit message like this. Done. Now if you, that's all. That's how conflicts are resolved. If you try to merge, it will show you like already up to date. Now if you check the content of file 4, can you see contents of both the branches? Because that's how I choose it to be. Got it clear? Everyone understood? And then we can do one more thing. So the file on master branch is having 2 lines. What would be the content of file 4 on B1 branch? What would be the content of this file 4 on B1? Will it have both the lines or only one line? Yes. Contents of file 4 on B1. On B1 we didn't merge, Pradeep. On B1 we didn't merge. We merged on master. So the destination branch will be affected, not the source branch. Let's check it out. Git check out B1. Here we didn't merge. So the changes will not be affected here. Got it now? So only the destination branch will be affected, not the source branch. So whatever changes you made will be there on master, the destination branch, not the B1. Got it clear, all of you? So this is the concept of branching and merging. Branching concept, merging with conflicts and without conflicts. Where do you get the meaning? With scenarios you get the conflict. So this is how you work with the branching and merging concepts. See, these are all advanced concepts in Git. Have you all started doing hands-on? Just I'm curious to know how many of you are doing the hands-on, how many of you are done with the lab setup. Okay, Virendra have started the lab setup. Are you doing the hands-on now? How many are doing now? You can do it now, or else better do it after the class. Listen here and do it. It's up to you. Okay, you have done the lab setup, Rakesh. Good to know. So yeah, definitely get started with your hands-on. Okay, after the class, watch the recording and immediately go for the hands-on. By the next session tomorrow, try to complete whatever we have done today. Okay, now let us take up another interesting concept called stash ingot. What is stash? Let's see. Let's see the concept of stash. And what is this, Rakesh? It's a commit message. Okay, git commit -m first commit. Please tell who you are to take your account credentials. That's not an error. That's why, see, if you do hands-on, if you are getting any queries, I can help you with those at the end. Okay, in between the class, troubleshooting or helping with the error messages will not work. But anyway, I'll tell you this. What is this? That's not an error. It is asking you what happens when you get when you do git commit. Log will be generated, right? With the author name, means the person who created it and the timestamp. So because I'm working as a Ruby user, it was showing it and some default ID kind of. Similarly, if you want to register the commits with some email ID and password, you can run that git config global user.email and set some email ID and username so that your changes will be registered with those credentials, with those username and email ID. Right? So that's not an error. You can set it or else ignore it. Okay, coming back to the discussion, let's talk about something called stash. Stash is another advanced but an interesting concept in Git. See, let's take a scenario like, suppose you are working on a working directory. Okay, you made some changes to index 1, you made some changes to index 2, but they are halfway done, incomplete changes. And at the same time, I have got a priority task from my manager. I should make some changes to index 3, commit this and push to remote. I have some priority tasks I need to attend. Okay, so whenever I'm trying to commit commit the changes of index 3, it will be always prompting me saying that index 1, index 2 are there, please add and commit. Isn't it? It will be always prompting us about this file. But because I'm only halfway done, I cannot add them. Isn't it? Incomplete changes may mess the project. I cannot just put them in staging area or local repository. At the same time, I cannot lose them. I cannot discard them. Correct? Because like they're halfway done. So what I can do, and one more thing. See, it will always prompt us, but if you want to commit only particular file, you can. But always the best practice is keep your working directory, like it shows your working tree is clean, isn't it? So always keep your working tree clean before you push your changes to remote. And that's a thumb rule, that's like a best practice. You should keep your repository clean before you move your changes to remote. Right? Not only during the push, when you are merging or when you are pushing, when you are making any changes, better keep your repository clean. But if I have to keep the clean, means I should add and commit. I cannot do that. At the same time, I cannot lose them. So I can move them to some temporary shelves or virtual shelves. Okay, like I can keep them on hold, which is called stash. This concept is called stash. Move the changes of your working directory, unstaged changes. Remember, unstaged changes, not untracked changes. Sorry, not untracked changes. What is meant by unstaged and untracked? What is the difference? What is the difference between untracked and unstaged? Were they same? See, it's a very minor difference between them. Untracked means not added and in the working directory. Unstaged also sounds the same, isn't it? But what is meant by that? Can anyone? Okay, Pradeep says unstaged means not committed. Mm. Refer to this then. Untracked.
Unstaged means, unstaged means we did not add the file.
No, not exactly. See this? That is the architecture. These are the small things which you should have a clarity on. Yeah. Untracked changes means which are present here and which are for the first time. File is not added to staging and not committed. It's for the first time you call them as untracked. For the first time means new file. You didn't add and commit. That is untracked. You say untracked for new files. Means for the first time you have it. Okay, whereas unstaged means file is already staged and committed. File is already there in local repository. But certain modifications, unstaged means not staged, means they were also here. But it's not a new file. Got the difference, everyone? If it is a new file, if it is not added, then we'll say untracked. If it is not a new file, it's already added and staged, but certain changes are there in the working directory. We call it as unstaged. Got the difference, everyone now? Pradeep got the difference, got the point, all of you. So that's the difference between untracked and unstaged changes. Actually, if you see them, yes, unstaged means not staged, means in the working directory. Untracked also the same, but for a new file we see or we call like untracked changes. So coming back to the stash concept, unstaged changes can be stashed. Unstaged changes means file is already there in the staging area in the local repository. Certain changes are not yet staged. Those are called unstaged changes. Am I making sense? So those changes can be stashed. Of course, untracked changes also can be stashed with a -u flag. But let's talk about the unstaged changes. Okay, let's go to master. See, after creating branch, if you want the branch to use like a temporary purpose, you can also delete it. Deleting the branches we'll see as we go by. So first, let's go to master. Here I have a bunch of files, and if I see the status, everything is good. Okay, now let me try to modify and replicate the scenario we discussed diagrammatically. Let's go to file1.txt. Let's make a change here. Let's say work in progress, like some code is happening, going on. Let me also modify file to address. Okay, done. I have made some changes. Now if you check the status, yeah, can you see that? Yeah, changes not staged for commit. Like, yeah, you are having some unstaged changes. But let's say I have a priority task. I need to make some changes to file 3 and commit. File 3 and commit the changes. But if I see status, it will be always prompting me to add this file. It's not clean. Working directory is not clean. But now I want to move these changes to temporary shells. So how to do that? Simply git stash. Git stash is the command. This command will move all the changes from the working directory to temporary shells. See, it says save working directory. Check the status. See, can you see the difference, all of you? When you see the status, you are not seeing them. Does that mean that the changes are gone? Check the content of file 1. Where is the second line? They were all stashed. So to see the stashes, every stash will generate a stash number. See here, stash 0. If you stash again, stash 1 and so on. If you want to see what changes are stashed, git show stash number. Right? See here. Right? File 1 is stashed, file 2 is stashed. It was showing all the changes. Right? Understood now? Okay, fine, they were moved to temporary shells. If you want to get the changes back, how do you get the changes back? From temporary shells to working directory. Working directory is clean. If you want to get the changes back, git stash pop stash number. What this command does, this will move the changes from the temporary shells to the working directory. And also this is unstash, right? Pop stash will unstash. Also delete them from temporary shells. Pop means it will drop the stash. It will delete the stash. It will not keep any copy on the temporary shells. Okay, let me do that. Right? See here, changes not staged. Again, changes are back. It's not clean. And also I told you, right? Pop will delete the stash. See, drop with the stash. Following everyone? So it will unstash as well as it will delete from the temporary cells. If you want to come compare, see git stash list, it's not showing anything in the stash list, it has deleted everything. Am I making sense? Got it clear, all of you? So that's how you can stash. That's one way to stash. Let me do one more thing. I'm stashing again. I'm stashing once again. Okay, simply git stash. So your working directory becomes clean. Git status shows clean, perfect, and all your stash can be seen with the stash list. Okay, it has the stash number. And then what next? Yeah, if you want to unstash, git stash pop, right? There is another way to unstash called git stash apply stash number. What is this git stash pop? What this command does? Git stash for stash apply stash number will also do the same thing like unstash. Bring the changes from temporary shells to working directory. And also it will delete the stash from the, sorry, it will not delete it from the temporary shells. Let me show you. See, you can see it's not dropped. Changes are back when you check the status, and it also has a copy git stash list on temporary shells. What is the use of it? Why we should do apply or when we should do stash apply? If you want to maintain a copy on temporary shells, because later on if I want to continue this incomplete work in some other branch, right? So you can unstash there and continue this incomplete work. That's where this command comes in. Got it clear, everyone? Understood this, all of you? So that's the concept of stash and unstash, stash pop and stash delete. Now, if you see here, git status, yeah. Can you see that? You have all the changes. So if you want to stash, simply git stash. But see, whenever I stash, whatever files we have, like I'm having 2 files means 2 files will be stashed, isn't it? What if I want to stash only 1 file? Maybe let's say I want to stash only index 1. Is that possible? Yes. That's where partial stash comes in. Git stash -p. So that you can prompt index 1 if you want, yes. Sorry, file 1 if you want, yes. File 2 if you don't want, no. Right? So that's how you can stash only a particular file, only index 1 will be stashed now. See, file 1 is stashed now. File 2 is still there. Interesting, isn't it? You can play with the git. You can do lot many things. And each command will have a lot many options. You can also check the help manual to check the different flags or different options on each command. But as you use them in the projects, as per the requirements, other options can be explored. Yeah. Let me show you now. We have stashed only one file, right? If you want to stash this separately, again stash. There might be multiple stashes. You can see them with the stash list. Can you see the stash 0, stash 1, stash 2 and so on? Let me show you one more. If you want to delete any particular stash, get stash draw, stash number. Like if you want to delete it, just delete it without unstashing. Means it will be just deleted from temporary shells without getting back to the working directory. So git stash draw. So that particular stash will be dropped. Can you see that? They're actually the numeric order starts from 0, 1, 2 and so on. If you delete it, this one will go into the 0th place and so on. If you want to delete all of them from the temporary shells, git stash clear. So everything will be gone. When you see the stash list, that's nothing. Also, when you check the status, so that's a concept of stash, to bring the changes to put the changes on some temporary shells. See, at this point, I would like to remind you, we were still again on the local repositories. We didn't go to remote. We are still on local. We didn't go to remote. Okay, before going to remote, there is one more concept called rebase. Rebase is again a far advanced concept. Okay, where beginners are warned against using it. Like it should be used carefully. So shall we talk about the rebase now? Can I move to the next concept or any questions in this part? Any questions in the concept we discussed? Let's talk about the concept of rebase. But before proceeding to the concept of rebase, let me explain the concept diagrammatical. First, let's talk about the rebase concept. Say suppose I'm having a master branch and let's say it's having two commits, commit A, commit B. Then I have created a branch called B2 from master. Obviously, there will be commit A, commit B on B2 also. Correct? Then once branch is created, development is happening parallelly. I made commit C here, I made commit D here. So changes are happening parallelly. After some time, I realized that I want this commit C also into the B2 branch. Means I want to integrate changes from master to B2. Yeah. So what is meant by integrating changes from one branch to another? What is the concept called as? What is the concept of integrating changes from one branch to another called as? It's a merge, isn't it? So if you merge, what happens? The log of B2 will be, means log of commit history of B2 would be commit A, commit B, commit D. On top of it, commit C will come and sit, isn't it? See, whenever you merge, a new commit ID will be created in the destination branch. Have you noticed that? New commit ID will be sitting to the current branch. Am I correct? Yes or no? New commit ID will come and sit in the current branch as the topmost commit when you merge. But now what I want is, yes, I want to integrate changes from master to B2 branch. But I want my log history should be rewritten in such a fashion that C should come and sit in between B and D. Rather than adding like a topmost commit, I would like the commit C should come and sit in B and D. What is the use of it? Why I want it to, between B and D? Means I want to see the commit history as a linear fashion, linear development. If you want to show your project history as though development is happening linearly means one branch after the other. First all the parent commits, then the child commits. It shows as though development is happening in one branch after the other. If you want this kind of log history, if you want to have a lean and linear log history, if you don't want to add up any new commits as a topmost commit into current branch, that's where rebase comes in. Rebase is also a kind of merge. It is also a type of merge, but it will rewrite the log history in such a fashion that the development is happening linearly, not parallelly. Like first changes are happening in the current branch, then changes are happening in the child branch. Unlike, see if you see this, these two are parent. This is child. Again, this is parent. Understood, everyone? So if you are seeing that kind of log history, that's what is rebase. If you don't want to see a messed up log history, some changes from parent, some from child. If you want to see linear history, like initially parent commits, again these parent commits are arranged as per the timestamp, then the child commits. So you will see, it's called as a rebase. Understood the concept clearly? All of you got the concept? Yeah, shall we do the demo? Shall we go for the hands-on now? Following everyone, or should I repeat anything here? Okay, all right then. Thank you all for confirming. So now let's do the hands-on. Let's do one thing. On which branch we are on? Master branch. Let me check the log. There are a bunch of commits here, right? But I want to make the log history simple. Like we discussed with the diagrammatic representation, I want to consider commit A, commit B. Let me only go with the two commits. Okay, so let me make this log short. I don't want these successive 4 commits. How to get rid of successive 4 commits? What is the command? We have already learned the concept. Exactly, Avinash. It's a git reset hard. Okay, the commit ID. Sorry. Git reset hard, the commit ID, whichever you want to be the topmost commit ID. I'm glad you are all following so well. You could recollect the commands very quickly. That's great. So git reset hard the commit ID. So the log is, yeah, this is the topmost commit ID. Yeah, done. So, okay, I just want to go with the small log. Now let me create a branch from this master. How to create a branch? What is the command to create a branch? Git branch, the child branch name and the parent branch name. Correct? Git branch B2 master. I'm creating a new branch. So B2 branch might have been created, but before going to B2, let me create a file here. I'm creating a file called file3.txt on master. Let's say new file created on master. Okay, let me save this. Escape WQ exclamatory. So file is created. Okay, file3.txt is created. Um, Good. Now, yeah, let me add this file3 git commit -m on master. Yeah. Now you have 3 files here and there is a log of master. Yeah. Now consider this as a commit C. Perfect. Now go to B2. Git checkout B2. Go to B2. Here there are 2 files. I want a new commit here. I'm creating a new file. File on B1 or sorry B2. Let me save it. I just want a commit, so I'm quickly committing this. We already learned these commands multiple times. So on B2, done, right? So let me also check the log of B2, log of master, log of B2, right? So this is important. Let me copy this commit history to the notepad so that we can analyze the things better. As per the diagrammatic representation, this should be the log of master, correct? Log of master. And this should be the log of B2. Yeah. Can you see this? Commit A, commit B, commit C. This is commit A, commit B, commit D. Now I want the C commit should come and sit in between B and D. I want the log history to be this way. I want the C commit should come and sit in between B and D. Correct? Agree with this, all of you? See here, this commit C of master should be between B and D. That's what we have discussed. See here, C should be between B and D. This is rebase. Rebase is nothing but it rewrites the log history. It is also kind of merge. It will also integrate changes from one branch to another. But it will rewrite the log history. And it shows as though development is happening linearly, not parallelly. Right? If you want to have a clean and simple log history at a later point of time, if you want to understand what these commits are all about, this is how you can do a rebase. Yeah. Now let us try to do this rebase. Yeah. Let's run the command git rebase master. That's all. See, rebase happened. Log of master will not be affected. It's a source here. Log of B2 is the one that is going to be affected. And if you see here, can you see? This is what is our expectation. It was same. Here the ID may change, but the order is the one that is our concern. Means all the parent commits first. See, these are all parent commits, then the child commits. These are all parent commits, then the child commits. That's how you have your rebase. Understood the concept of rebase, everyone? Am I clear? Should I repeat any point here? All of you clear with the concept? Why do you need the rebase? What is the difference between merge and rebase? Were you all good with those differences? So that's a concept of rebase. See, whatever commands I have used today, everything are there in the drive. Can you check the drive, all of you? Yeah. Check the drive once. In that you have git commands folder. 1 minute. Right, this is the one you have access, and here is the lab setup document you should follow, and the git folder. If you come to Git folder, here are the Git commands document. In this document, you have all the commands, whatever I'm using. You need not worry about storing them or saving them. You have the whole of commands I'm using in the class here. Okay, when you are doing hands-on, keep this document beside yourself and try with it. Any help with Vim editor, Linux help, here is a document. And the architectural diagrams I have used were also here. I'll also place the presentation here. And some additional videos I have placed, but apart from this, another complete video list I'll provide you in the coming up week. Like I said, you'll get some bonus videos. I'll provide that after the completion, like next week I'll provide you that. So here is the list. And one more thing is, in the same drive, I have added another document here. Class recordings. Everyday class recording link I'm going to place here. Okay, maybe in the coming days, I'll make sure that you'll get the video access automatically. After once it is processed, it will take some time for processing. So automatically, I'll see that you will all get the emails regarding the recording once it is ready. Until then, I'm leaving the recording links here for each day. Yeah. So that's about Rebase. And we were doing, or we have done lot many things on local repository, right? We have done far more than enough. Actually, we don't need to go to this extent if you are using Git from the perspective of DevOps for integrating in the pipeline. But maybe like if you want to manage the files, that's how you may do it. So we have learned Git thoroughly. We have learned lot many things. Still, if you are looking for any other command in Git, if you want to experiment anything, okay, in the same drive, I have placed additional references document. In the additional references document, I have placed links to additional content, like some references, some good books on each tool. Like if you take a Linux, there are some like links I have placed here to learn Linux, to refresh your Linux basics, and Git documents, Git official books, lot many things I have placed here for each tool. With all my experience, I have placed the references. So if you are interested, you can also go through it. It is there in the drive. As I go by, I'll be updating the drive. I'll be modifying the drive with the latest content. So yeah, we have done lot many things on local repository. Now it's time we shall go to remote repositories. Okay, we have to go, let's say our repository is ready. You can push to remote. That's where git push, git pull, git fetch, git or like origin, setting up the origin, all these commands comes. Again, conflicts on remote. Okay, remote repository. What is your remote repository? That's where GitHub comes into picture. GitHub works like a online management system to host your local repositories. GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, all these falls under the same category. We are covering GitHub here. GitHub is online management system where you can host your local repositories. Right? So we'll be creating a free account on GitHub. You can, if you want, you can create it now. GitHub.com. Go to GitHub.com. Create some free account. You'll get some username and password. That works like a remote repository. So how to push to remote, how to pull from remote, conflicts on remote, all these things we shall take up tomorrow. GitHub maybe 30 minutes or so, and then we'll start with the next tool in our delivery pipeline, which is Jenkins. And then we'll talk about Maven, we'll integrate them, and we'll start developing our pipeline. Any questions in today's concepts? Were all the concepts clear for everyone? First, do complete hands-on, do thorough practice on the local repositories, and we shall take up this remote repository GitHub tomorrow. Any more questions you have, anything else, please let me know regarding the notes or anything you have.